And up to our next speaker is Sebastiaan Engelborghs. But Sebastiaan, come on stage. I heard your colleague mention you boss. Be careful. Do I mention you boss or Sebastiaan? What do you prefer?
Sebastiaan is fine.
Sebastiaan.
Yes.
Sebastiaan. Sebastiaan, you're a neurologist. You're working in the University of Brussels.
Yes.
And University Hospital in Brussels also,
Indeed.
of course.
Yes.
Let's have a chat.
Okay.
About what's your biggest passion and you're working on at this time?
My biggest passion is the brain, of course, and more specifically Alzheimer's disease as the main cause of dementia. And we will really have huge numbers of people with Alzheimer's disease in our society. So this is a hot topic. It should be a hot topic.
And how did you come by yourself interested in dementia, but it's not that obvious?
First of all, we had some very inspiring professors when I was studying medicine. So I rapidly became interested in the brain, in neurology. And then I remember my first encounter with a dementia patient when I was a medical student. Together with a neurologist, we were seeing all the inpatients at the neurology ward. And we entered the room and there was under a blanket, a body covered by the blanket. And so we were scared because we were not briefed. Someone died in this room. So we entered the room and we came nearby the patient bed. And at the moment, the patient rose and said, "Kiekeboe." And he started laughing, and we were scared and almost angry. I mean, yeah, we were really scared that something sad had happened. And this was my first encounter with a dementia patient. And I, ever since, have wondered how can a brain disease affect the behavior of a person in such a dramatic way.
Yes, and dementia, of course, is related in aging. What happens in our brain when we're aging? What changes there?
First of all, when we age, concentration, the thinking speed, the memory, it shows a decline. It's a small decline. It's not that huge, but ever since, it shows a decline. Since I'm growing somewhat older myself, I've drawn a second curve to this slide, which is wisdom and experience. That increases, of course, and that compensates for the fact that our cognitive abilities show some decline, which means that the abilities to take decisions stay stable. So there is some decline in cognition, but it really is minimal. Also when we grow very, very old. And we keep on learning also at old ages. For example, vocabulary continues to increase even at high age.
Sebastiaan, sometimes I hear people of younger age telling about, oh, I'm forgetting a lot of things. I'm getting dementia. How is that connected?
Yes, dementia is really not the way how we want to age. Dementia is not normal aging, as you can see on this slide. By the way, I was not allowed to show any figures like this, but I still do. I'm at a safe distance from Nico.
But for me, it's fine. No worries.
Dementia is not normal aging, not at all. Even not at high age, it is not normal. And ever since, of course, age is the main risk factor to get a dementia. When you get older, your risk of having dementia increases. And we estimate that at the age of 85, we can diagnose dementia in one person on 3, which is huge. And one person in 5 here present will develop a dementia. As we get older, our risk of dementia increases. But what is dementia? Dementia is a syndrome. Be aware if your medical doctor says that you have a syndrome, because that means that he or she knows the symptoms you have, but doesn't know the cause of your symptoms. The same holds true for dementia. People with dementia have symptoms in 3 categories. The first category being cognition, like memory, attention, decision-making capacities, orientation, language. The second category being behavioral and personality changes. Every person with dementia has behavioral changes, although they can be mild. And the third category of symptoms are deficits in activities of daily living, which renders the people dependent from others to survive. That is what dementia is. And maybe I should, instead of asking you questions to me, ask a question to the public.
Of course, but go ahead. But Sebastiaan, in the first category you were mentioning, I saw some people in the audience saying, that's me.
Yeah, and that's me too.
Yeah. So we don't have to worry?
Sometimes.
Oh, okay. When should we worry?
When it's really a change as compared to the previous level of functioning. Then you can start worrying, and especially also as other people in your surroundings notice that there is a decline that could be more pronounced than normal for age. In that case, it's wise to seek medical help.
Okay.
But may I ask the question to the public?
Please, go. You can ask questions.
We have dementia. Do you think that every person with dementia has Alzheimer's disease? Who says yes? Nobody? Oh my goodness, I can't stop my talk. Who says no? Okay. And who has no opinion?
Well, yeah.
No one has no opinion. The answer is no. And indeed, dementia is an umbrella term. And under this umbrella, we have several brain diseases that can cause dementia, like Alzheimer's disease being the most frequent cause of dementia, of course.
You can ask other questions of your...
Well, maybe let's ask a second question. It's good fun. Does everyone with Alzheimer's disease has dementia? That's a more difficult question, isn't it? Yeah. Who says yes? Okay. And who says no? One person, but you have knowledge that you are excluded. I was not pointing at you, but at the person behind you. That is Professor Nagels, who is a neurologist in UZ Brussels, and who has no opinion. Yeah, okay, that's a joke. But the answer is no. And shall I quickly explain what happens in the brain of Alzheimer's disease?
Yeah, sure.
This happens in the brain of people with Alzheimer's disease. In fact, in Alzheimer's disease, something goes wrong with 2 proteins. The first one being amyloid. And we are now on the upper left corner of the slide. And this amyloid protein changes with regard to the structure, and it sticks together, it becomes insoluble, and it forms deposits in the brain called amyloid plaques. That's the first thing that happens in the brain, as far as we know, and as far as we can observe in Alzheimer's disease. In the second step, the protein tau, which is the main component of the skeleton of neurons, this protein tau changes with regard to structure, and it starts forming deposits within the neurons, which we call neurofibrillary tangles. It's getting a bit technical now, but we are on the lower left corner of the slide. And you can imagine that if these neurons are stuffed up with these protein deposits, that they start degenerating. If you look at the upper right corner, you see a normal neuron. It's like a tree, a lot of branches. And with these branches, these neurons make connections That is what we call synapses. And like this, we build out a brain network, and this brain network is responsible for cognition, for the reasoning, for intelligence. And in Alzheimer's disease, when these neurons start degenerating, the number of synapses start decreasing. This is what we call synaptic degeneration. This affects your brain network, and that's why there is a decline of memory and other cognitive functions. And last but not least, you also lose neurons, brain cells. You lose a third of the mass of your brain. The brain shrinks, which is depicted in the center of this slide. So this is what happens in Alzheimer's disease.
Sebastiaan, as the brain shrinks, but can we restore it? Can we do things to restore it or help our brain a little bit?
Yeah, a very good question. Once this atrophy, this brain shrinkage is there, it cannot be replaced. If you want to do something, you have to do it earlier. And there I have to give you one more key element to answer my question. Do people with Alzheimer's disease have dementia? The answer is no. Because the first thing that happens in the brain are these amyloid plaques. And these happen 10 to 20 years before the first symptoms. And the first symptoms are forgetfulness. People with forgetfulness don't have behavioral changes, don't have deficits of activities of daily living. They don't have dementia. They have mild cognitive impairment. And we nowadays diagnose Alzheimer's disease in people who have forgetfulness but no dementia yet. And in fact, it's quite scary because if you develop dementia at age 75, then you probably would have mild cognitive impairment at age 70, but you are building up the pathology of Alzheimer's since your 50s. This is scary, isn't it? It seems to be scary. But this offers a huge window for prevention. This is an opportunity that we should take benefit of.
Yeah, and what should we do then? Because I'm like 50, so I'm getting a little bit worried now. But what can I do? Help me, Sebastiaan, please.
Well, the answer lies in this figure. Sorry, again, another one. But the red curve shows you the prevalence, the absolute number of people with dementia in our society. It increases as we all get older. Yeah? The red curve, that shows something special. That is showing the incidence or the newly diagnosed people. And you see that in the Western world, this curve stabilizes and even declines. So it doesn't follow the increase of the prevalence. And how come? This is very intriguing. And it's also a message of hope. And this is probably because we are nowadays more aware of the benefits of healthy living. We live healthier now than 10 or 20 years ago. And we are able to control cardiovascular risk factors like hypertension, diabetes, hypercholesterolemia much better with pharmacological treatments than 10 to 20 years ago. And these preventive measures have a good effect on cardiovascular diseases, on some cancers, but apparently also on dementia. And we have now identified more than 12 risk factors for dementia, being less education, overweight, diabetes mellitus, arterial hypertension, less physical exercise, hearing impairment, sleep disturbances, air pollution, some infections, and I'm forgetting some of these risk factors.
I was still counting for myself, and then people also already did the same.
Yeah, but by controlling these risk factors, we can prevent or at least delay the onset of dementia in 48% of the cases with dementia. So this is huge. So changing or adapting your lifestyle, controlling your risk factors for cardiovascular disease at the latest in your 40s or 50s will have a significant effect on your own dementia risk.
So it's a message of hope, in fact.
It really is. We really should invest in preventive measures in a healthier society. It's really very, very important.
And that's completely in line with the other keynotes we have today here on the core stage. So I think the message is clear. I think it's something we can do by ourselves. But change is difficult, isn't it?
Change is difficult, but anyhow, you feel much better when you live healthier, and the benefits are so huge. And even in case of dementia, of which we always thought if you are programmed to develop dementia, it'll be there. You can change your risk. Well, you can. You can change your risk. And even if you only delay the onset of your dementia symptoms, even that is significant, because that might mean that you come to die by another cause before you develop significant symptoms of dementia.
Sebastiaan, sometimes I hear stories like drinking red wine is good for preventing dementia.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, not at all. Alcohol is toxic.
Okay.
Every alcoholic drink is toxic. Only also one glass of wine is toxic.
Okay.
The limit of which is acceptable with regard to the toxicity is 10 units per week. Which is not a lot, because if you ask on a memory consultation, do you consume alcohol? People say, oh, no, never. And do you drink beer or wine? Yes, of course, but that's no alcohol, doctor. Yes, sure, it's alcohol. I mean, so it's a misperception. So if you drink every day 2 glasses of wine with your meal, you already have consumed too much alcohol per week. And so there have been some studies that have shown some beneficial effect of the consumption of red wine, but these studies have been biased. They have been performed in the south of France, and have been sponsored by the wine industry. We have to say it like it is. So these results cannot be taken for granted.
Okay. Thank you, Sebastiaan.
You're welcome.
Sebastiaan, it's time to have a drink. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And hope to see you soon. Sebastiaan, thank you. It was great
thank
to
you
have you
for
on
the
stage.
attention, and thank you for asking the right questions at the right moment.
Thank you.